You're in the chat room with Virginia Trioli.
Greg the Stop Sign. Greg the Stop Sign. Greg the Stop Sign. Greg the Stop Sign. Sometime in the next 10
And they can harmonise. Never forget that they can harmonise. And they talk over the presenter as well when she's
can you turn the air conditioning
trying to do an introduction.
These rock stars that are just prima donnas. We've
All
always
bets
hated
are
that.
off.
Yeah, I think that, musicians need to be taken down a peg or two.
Exactly.
We tried with COVID, but, now they're getting work again.
Well,
and,
she'll try if she can introduce you. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Virginia.
This is Serious Mum. This is very serious, Mum. And this is TISM. This is Serious Mum. I've loved and followed their music for a million years, but I don't think I've actually ever interviewed you guys before, have I?
No, I think given that you've asked us to an interview proves that you've never actually tried to do it before.
That's very true. I'm about to regret it in about 90 seconds' time.
Yeah.
Ron Hitler-Barassi, good morning to you.
Good morning, Virginia. I was talking about the constitutional arrangements of the Westminster government with Powderfinger the other day. The whole point about a Westminster arrangement is a combination of the letter of the law and conventions. Without conventions, the whole thing breaks down, as Powderfinger were talking to us about.
Well,
right?
Powderfinger have been big on that for a long time, I
Virginia,
think.
there is a slow-mo coup happening in our nation, right, where the conventions of government are gradually being eroded. You get someone like Simon Birmingham, who doesn't look like the normal cartoon clown, coming onto your show and avoiding questions, and that's just the start of the coup. Let's look at what's happening in America, Virginia. This is a serious issue. Now, you're going to say something that undermines my serious message. Off you go.
I certainly will. The serious thing will be Humphrey B. Flaubert. Good morning to you.
Yeah, I think, Virginia, that, when the Venga Boys go boom, boom, I want you in my room to last forever, I think what they're dealing with there is the insidious pull between the transient nature of lust and the more, the commitment kind of love. And that's really what we're about. We're about that sort of grey line between do you make eggs for your new partner in the morning,
yes,
or do you get the first train out?
I think that was clear in your music for all of the years that you did it. TISM, of course, have been loved and celebrated. They've had a 19-year absence, but they're coming back. They're reforming for the Good Things Festival, which is being held at Flemington Racecourse on Friday, December 2nd. But let me just describe how you fellas look this morning, because we are radio, which is a great shame, because you're always in disguise. No one genuinely knows who you are, although we have a faint idea. And the costume today,
Virginia, yes.
the costume today is, of course, the traditional black balaclava, but also a white paper hazmat suit that is printed with cartoon characters from The Simpsons, I think, correct?
Well, they're a little bit less artistic than that, I'm afraid.
Oh,
it's more
right.
the sort of splattergun effect of a workshop they used to run at Jika.
Oh, well, very nice. And also
this one here
the
is
great bit
Richard
of the
Colbeck.
lights inside. Sorry, go ahead.
Richard Colbeck, the one that looks lost.
But the illuminations inside the costume, just making you glow, are absolutely beautiful. It took you 19 years to miss your audience. That long?
Well, we've always loved our audience. I think we've been misquoted in that sense because we,
right.
By saying that they're all
Controversial.
cretins is probably, it's an ambiguous term.
No,
Cretins.
you shouldn't have said that.
No.
You shouldn't have. But they still love you. You released an album a couple of years ago. There was absolutely nothing on it and it sold out.
That's right. I mean, that I think was our defining musical moment, I think, Humphrey.
I suspect.
Aside from the 19-year silence, which was obviously, an art statement, it was probably...
Of course it was performance. Of course it was.
I was hoping that Rolling Stone would put our 19-year absence as in their list. They do like lists, sort of BuzzFeed thing.
Sure.
The great moments in rock. Elvis Presley wiggles his hips on the Sullivan Show.
Yep.
Down at about number 9. Number 1, TISM's 19-year silence.
What's the silence been like for you? What was lockdown and COVID and ISO like for you?
Well, we work as tradies. So we didn't obey any of those rules. I don't think... I mean, that's the problem with the mainstream media, Virginia. You never probably publicise that if you're wearing a high-vis jacket, you can't get COVID. All the tradies near me prove that, and I was part of that as well.
That is not fair. They were on my program almost every other day saying that, so take that back.
You make a very good point.
Thank you. But I mean, you got to face mask before anybody else did, really. Except all the problematic bits are cut out. I can see
correct.
the nose
Yeah.
and the mouth. That's
Yeah.
the only problem with it.
That's right. This is more a pro-COVID mask.
Very nice. So, have you picked out the costumes for the performance? That good things? Can you give us a sneak peek?
Yeah, we're going to be disguised as a landscape, and hopefully a sort of a
3D.
and a kind of a Tom Robbins sort of full of gum and the natural browns and olives of our great land.
I think there's a Monet sort of water lilies aspect to it as well.
I did rather like the way you described our costumes, Virginia. I could see you being a catwalk compere.
Oh, you think calling the catwalk?
I think so, because you did get the nuance of, you didn't say these guys look like a couple of clowns.
No,
which
I would never say that.
I want to warn you again about the slow-motion junta that is taking over our government.
It's not a junta. He's not in power anymore.
No,
Come
no,
on.
no. It's not a party political thing, Virginia. It's the erosion of the conventions of the Westminster system.
Since when have you cared about the conventions of the
Since
system?
the
Come on.
1830 Reform Act in England. I mean, the problem these people lack, I know this sounds like a Trollope novel, honour. Of all things, Bridget Mackenzie was on saying she was shocked by ScoMo's ignorance and ignoring the Westminster system. Bridget Mackenzie, the person in charge of sports frauds. Have you heard of selected memory? And then that rancid hypocrite Howard, the man back in the day that would self-righteously quote Edmund Burke, of all people, comes on and says it's not worth resigning because we don't want to lose an election, a seat. Like, the Conservatives are meant to be pro the normal conventions of Westminster government. Everyone does it.
It's a fair point, except for the fact that we're living in a post-politics time, aren't we? I mean, did you even pay attention to the election result? Did it matter to you?
Well, Westminster Simpson's albums I'm really into. I wasn't really...
Nice pickup.
I wasn't particularly sort of enamoured of her, leanings to Christianity.
But hell of a dancer.
Yes, totally.
Hell of a dancer. I mean, she could just tear up the floor. Two parts of TISM are with you this morning, Ron Hitler-Barassi and Humphrey B. Flaubert. I think you've come back into the national consciousness at a really important time. Of course, we've come out of COVID and we are in the time of cancellations. You guys are just a nanosecond away from being utterly cancelled, and I guess you're probably looking forward to that.
Oh, yeah. It means we won't have to do the show and we can go back to work.
Exactly.
No one put a gun at your head, did they, mate? I mean, come on.
Well, St. Kevin's, that doesn't pay for itself, that sort of private school fee, Virginia.
Yeah, they've just put it up recently,
as the Gonski report said, without a polo field, people don't get educated these days. I mean, all we're doing is following Midnight Oil.
What could they cancel you over? What is your most cancelable claim to fame, guys?
I think it's the song The Red Right Hand that we sang. That is full of racist references, and they will spot that we are a shill to corporate greed.
I think that's absolutely right.
With that song,
I mean, there are a lot of people with red right hands that have struggled in our society, Virginia, and that man comes out, and I think there's ridicule written into that song, and it's about time we called him out.
It could be seen, actually, to pick up your previous theme before, actually as a maybe anti-conservative politics song, that one, Red Right Hand.
No, it's an attack on the disabled people who have red right hands, Virginia, through no fault of their own.
There you go. More cancelable bits, I think, from Ron Hitler-Barassi and Humphrey B. Flaubert. I wanted to ask whether you wanted to play any particular political commentary role in the state election that's coming up in about 100 days' time. Are you keeping your eye closely on that?
Yes, we'll be selling lobster recipes.
Always useful. With or without mayo.
Tim Smith will be doing the Uber Eats driving, of course.
Yeah,
yes,
he's
right,
driving the truck.
What's your tip? What's going to be the result, do you think?
Well, I'm looking. I obviously think that teal is overrated as a colour, and
I'm an attractive colour. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I would like a fawn movement. The fawn movement, TISM wholly supports.
A fawn tidal wave.
No opinion on anything is the fawn movement. I think it'll take off in some of the richer seats.
How do you think the live music scene is looking right now as it comes out of our COVID shutdown? Are there bands that you're a fan of, guys?
Well, if they finish by 7:30, would be a fan of them. Humphrey, when did you last see a live music scene?
I think possibly at birth, Ron, and I wouldn't have a clue about live music.
Really? Don't go? Don't listen? No?
But, the way you're nimbly skipping around these depth charges of inanity, Virginia, suggests to me that you could probably tell us what we should like.
You think I'd tell you what to like? Are you kidding me? I'm not that stupid.
Which nincompoop producer wrote your questions anyway? I want them taken out and shot.
You don't get to ask the questions. That's me. How are these old bones going these days? You're going to be able to bounce around on stage like you used to? You guys are not spring chickens anymore. Answer the question.
Well, we were 50 when we started the band, Virginia.
You were actually.
Yeah, I mean...
That's right. We are the Joe Bidens of rock, and I think just like your anti-red right hand bias, you've got a very ageist bias.
Cancel me, mate. Just try.
Well, I'm too busy remembering the lyrics, actually.
Very, very hard to remember those ones. The guys from TISM are here, Ron Hitler Barassi and Humphrey B. Flaubert. What was it that prompted me last year, was it, to put on social media a copy, my treasured copy of TISM's book of Little Aesthetics? I know. It was a most unexpected finance commentator who showed his. Tell us the story.
Yes.
Alan Kohler
showed that during COVID he'd have 3 books. Would he not on the finance report?
He was showing off his erudition. It was a bit of a put on that one, but
mind you, financial analysts and predictors, they haven't got a lot of credibility to lose, have they? Really, frankly. So Alan lost it right there. I think. Yeah,
there does seem to be this TISM are cool thing going on, which we would like to stamp out if possible.
Go right ahead.
It's it does happen to people that have been away for a long time, and suddenly there's a reappraisal, and what we once thought was puerile is now, in fact,
That's very true, and you know what else is going? You know how when people talk about Woodstock, and if anyone who claims they are at Woodstock is all of them actually stood up, there'd be more people than were at Woodstock. It's the same thing. All these people who never wanted a bar review and now suddenly saying, "Oh, I've always loved TISM." Yeah, that's right. I think it's just after it's that kind of, what is it, the amnesty period ends, and it's suddenly okay. When we released our the Machiavelli and the Four Seasons album, Rolling Stone rated it lower than Jason Donovan's current album. That's saying something.
And then the same album they now regard as one of the great icons of 90s Australian music. This is the way it goes. You realise that nobody is in fact telling the truth. But I'm starting to sound a bit Trumpy in there, so I've got to be careful.
After this interview, we'll be back to the Craig McLachlan ratings, I think, Humphrey.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. No. You've got your crowd. The records sell out. You've got releasing, was it 3 more records? Is that right? 2 or 3?
That showbag tat, we take no attention to the showbag tat, Virginia.
No,
none at all.
It's not you.
That is David Williams, the man that's running our showbag tat, right? He's got kids in private schools as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've got to turn a buck somehow.
You do.
Ron Hitler Barassi, Humphrey B. Flaubert, can you ever see a time when we won't have one of our great music and thought-provoking creations, TISM, in our midst here in Melbourne, or will you always just keep coming back when you need the money?
No, I think, there's only so many kitchens you can get redone, Virginia, so...
I don't know. There's always a patio you can build somewhere, isn't there?
I suppose, yeah. It depends on the splashback. It does go in and out of fashion, that sort of full granite look. I was chatting, obviously, with the Kid Leroy about this the other day.
Oh, yes.
And he's gone for the granite look, and I said, Kid... Roy, I said, I don't know. I think sort of more of a 70s pebble dash would perhaps that'll be coming back in. But, you can guide me on this, Virginia, because the scarf you're wearing is cocked at such an angle that I feel you've got that imperceptible sense of style which we lack.
Imperceptible is probably about right. But if you're saying the old stuff is coming back, well, guys, you are back. So that's absolutely right. Ron Hitler Barassi, Humphrey B. Flaubert, lovely spending time with you. And let's do it again, but in 19 19 years, if that's all right with you.
Virginia, watch out for the creeping junta that is taking over our government. Though I think in Australia it should be a creeping junta.
I think so too. Stick that up your junta.
Oh, nice.
Oh my God, the interviewer ended with the best line. Let's do it all again.
I win!
Thank you so much.